All right, this is my fifth attempt, I believe, at trying to do this video. Um, we live way out in the country. As I've mentioned, we live outside of Nashville. So between the weather and just the spotty internet service, the other videos I made wouldn't upload or failed to upload. So I'm going to try this again. This is my draft video. Every year for probably the last 20, 25 years, I've watched the draft. Last year, the draft was in Nashville, so my wife and I went downtown, really enjoyed ourselves. We got to see the Heisman experience, got to see the draft up close, experienced the atmosphere. It was just crazy. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people were lining downtown Nashville on Broadway. Just wall to wall people. It was just amazing. I enjoyed it. I loved it. And next year it's in Cleveland, and we have friends that live in Cleveland, so I'm hoping that we can go to the draft in Cleveland and stay with them and just experience that. We used to live in Cleveland when we got out of the military. So we're familiar with the area. So I'm really looking forward to next year. And possibly when they have it in Vegas again in 2 years, I'd really like to go and experience it in Vegas, but we'll see. But this year, the draft was done a little bit differently because of the coronavirus, COVID-19. The draft had to be done virtually. So I didn't know what to think about it when they first started it. Or when they first mentioned it, but I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the way they did it, the way ESPN did it. They sent cameras to all the prospects. All the teams had cameras set up, all the coaches, all the GMs, all the owners. Jerry Jones had his set up on his yacht, his $2.5 million yacht. Just watching all the players interacting with their families, seeing all the different home environments, it was just amazing. I enjoyed it. And if they did it again like that in the future, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I thought it was just really cool. So while I was watching the draft, I opened up a Panini's Contenders Draft Picks 2018 box that I had ordered. It's got Josh Rosen and Baker Mayfield on the cover. And I was really hoping and praying that I would get a Baker Mayfield autograph. It comes with 2 autographs guaranteed, but that didn't happen. It's all right. And I was also hoping I would get a cracked ice ticket parallel. That didn't happen either. I don't have the best of luck when it comes to breaking cards. I just enjoy it. But I did get some good cards. So I'll show you what I got. And then I'm going to open a pack of Panini's Contenders 2019. So show you real quick what I got. So starting off, of course, with my Oklahoma Sooners. I grew up in Oklahoma. So my number one team is the Sooners. My backup team is the Oklahoma State Cowboys. So for those of you that don't know, OSU doesn't stand for Oklahoma State Cowboys. It stands for Oklahoma Second University, OSU. Yeah. Okay. So for my Oklahoma cards, I got D.D. Westbrook, Billy Sims, and I did get a Baker Mayfield, which I was happy about. I may try and send this to him and see if he'll autograph it. It'd be cool to have an autograph on this. May send that to the Browns facility and see if he'll autograph that for me. I'm kind of worried about him. This is like the year for him to prove himself. With Kitchens gone and their GM gone, they've got a new coach and a new GM, and this is really the year for him to prove himself. So I'm kind of worried about him, hoping he does have a good year once the season starts up. So for Oklahoma State University, I got a couple of good cards. I got a Des Bryant, and a collegiate comparison with James Washington and Mason Rudolph, who had the unfortunate incident last season where his helmet was ripped off and then the player tried to beat him with it. And then the last Oklahoma State University player I got was Barry Sanders. And I have an interesting story about Barry Sanders. I don't know if I've mentioned this before or not. I actually met him when I was in high school. I grew up in a small town outside of Stillwater called Perkins. That's where I went to high school. And my mom worked in Stillwater, so I would go to work with her, drop her off, and then go to the university to study, is what I would tell my mom. But obviously going to a major, huge university like that, where there's thousands and thousands of beautiful girls, a young high school kid, I obviously just walked around and looked at the girls and tried to flirt with the girls. But I was in the library one day and I had on a Oklahoma Sooners t-shirt. Wasn't thinking, naive young kid, sitting there reading magazines. And up walks this big, huge football player with his friends and kind of comes up to me and says, "Hey man, are you around here? What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I live in Perkins. My mom works here." And I says, "I'm just waiting for her to get off work." And he was like, "Oh, that's cool, man." He's like, "Well, I'll tell you what," he says, "the next time I see you in this library, I want to see you wearing this t-shirt." And he throws a t-shirt at me. And it's an Oklahoma State University t-shirt. He says, "I don't want to see you wearing that other one anymore on my campus." And it just so happened to be Barry Sanders with some of his friends, which was kind of a cool thing. He wasn't being a jerk. He was actually kind of funny in the way that he said it. But I wish I still had that t-shirt. I think my mom, after I wore it to like nothing, threw it away. But it was just a awesome memory that I have of him. Just an awesome guy, really nice. And just somebody that, stuck out in my memory. The next cards I have in this box are Georgia. So I have a Sony Mitchell, Herschel Walker, and then we have the Texas Longhorns with Vince Young, a Tennessee Titans product, quarterback. Ricky Williams. I'll never forget his draft where they basically traded away all their picks to get him, and then the coach comes out in dreadlocks. And then Earl Campbell. TCU, LaDainian Tomlinson, LT. And then Stanford, John Elway, who kind of started the trend of refusing to play for a team that Eli Manning carried on. Yesterday they showed highlights of when Eli Manning refused to play for the Chargers, and they called his bluff and drafted him number 1 overall anyways, and then he ended up getting traded to the Giants when they drafted Phillip Rivers. So I thought that was kind of neat. My next card was Christian McCaffrey. I really like him. I have him in my PC just because I think he's a stand-up guy. Really good player. And then we have USC with Marcus Allen. And then Dan Prescott. And he's got a couple of good guys in Dallas that he's going to be playing with next season. Some Oklahoma guys. Dallas drafted 2 players from Oklahoma. C.D. Lamb, 17th overall. I was kind of surprised to see that he fell that far, but wide receivers are a hit and miss in the draft. And then Gallimore, who got drafted in the 3rd round, will also be going to Dallas with Prescott. Got a Randy Moss, Bo Jackson from Auburn, Cam Newton, And then Josh Rosen. I might send that one to see if he'll autograph that one as well. It's a nice card. And Tim Tebow. I love Tim Tebow. I follow him on Twitter and Instagram. My brother-in-law, interesting story, knows Tim Tebow. He went to the University of Florida where he got his graduate degree. The same year Tim Tebow was there and played. Was good friends with him. And then Old School Colors with Tim Tebow. I might send that one and see if he'll autograph that for me. Be awesome if he would. And then Adam Thielen. And Trevor Siemian. Jabro Peppers from Michigan. Davion Cook. Ray Lewis, the U. I was really surprised that the University of Miami didn't have a lot of players selected. I think their first player that was selected in this year's draft was in like the 3rd or 4th round. They've kind of really slipped a lot since the 80s. Ed Reed. They aren't as dominant as they once were. Matt Ryan, Boston College. Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers was kind of an interesting side note in this year's draft because the year that he fell through the draft and then finally got drafted by the Packers was the last year that Favre played for them. Well, same scenario this year, kind of interesting that the Packers selected Jordan Love in almost the same position that they selected Aaron Rodgers, which has got a lot of people wondering if they're kind of giving Aaron Rodgers a little hint that it's time for him to step up or they're going to replace him. I don't know if I agree with that. I think Aaron Rodgers still has a lot of good years left, but it's interesting that they did draft a quarterback in Jordan Love. Alabama, John Hanna. And then Julio Jones. And of course I got the coach, Nick Saban, refractor. It's not numbered. Then Larry Fitzgerald out of Pitt. Tony Dorsett. Ezekiel Elliott. I remember his draft where he came in with the half-cut shirt showing his belly. Awesome, awesome event. Michael Thomas. And then Russell Williams with the Wisconsin Badgers. Ron Dane. I remember when he got drafted, what was it, in 99? I thought he was going to be a beast in the league for a long time and just never panned out. And then J.J. Watt, who a lot of people thought would not be a good player in the NFL. As a matter of fact, when he got drafted, I believe they booed him, and he has turned out to be an awesome player and a good man, really, really good person. Does a lot in his community. So, yeah. So, before I show you the autographs I got, a couple more notes about the draft. I was really surprised to see that Jalen Hurts fell to the 2nd round, but I'm happy that he got drafted by the Eagles. Maybe they'll use him in kind of a Taysom Hill kind of scheme where kind of like a wildcat scheme, use him as a wide receiver, running back, quarterback. I was also surprised to see Jake Fromm fall as far as he did. He fell all the way to the 5th round until he finally got drafted by the Bills. So some interesting plot twists in this year's draft. Even though it was done virtually, it was still kind of neat and interesting. And then, of course, the LSU Tigers had, I think, the most players drafted ever at 14 or 15, or they tied the most players drafted ever, which was pretty interesting and kind of neat. So the 2 autographs I got out of this box, the first one was Adam Brenneman. And Adams no longer in the league. I don't even think he got drafted. Pulling him up here. He played at the University of Massachusetts after he transferred from Penn State. Didn't get drafted, retired due to injuries, and now he is a coach. He is a coach and a writer, does podcasts. He does a feature for Penn State on their radio station. It's called the Adam Brenham Show. So I don't think that card's going to be worth much money, but nice autograph. And then the last autograph I got was Keyshawn Berea, who was drafted. He was drafted in 2018 in the 6th round and was picked 217 and was drafted by the Broncos and currently plays for the Cardinals. So we'll see if he pans out or not. He has been predominantly just a practice squad player. So we'll see. Not the best of autographs. I was hoping to have better autographs, but never can't complain when you get an autograph. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video, and then I'll open a pack of Panini Contenders of 2019 football and see what I get out of that one. Appreciate you watching my video, and give me a thumbs up.